My name is Katja Biesanz, and I was at the Feminist Studio Workshop 2 years. I was going to move to another state, and I think Sheila de Bretteville asked me to give Dina Metzger a massage for her birthday. It may have been the other way around. And I was very annoyed I was going to be gone. And I analyzed, why am I being so annoyed about that? And I realized, I really respect them and what they're doing together. And the next week, I joined the FSW. I didn't know Suzanne Lacey before that. I'd been somewhat involved with the Women's Art Project at Cal Arts, but I was in the dance school, and dance didn't seem to have barriers to women, but in some ways it did. Subjects, control, grants, there were ways, themes, and the standards from history. I really enjoyed Suzanne Lacey's performance art workshop. I don't know what it was called, but we all went downtown to behind Bullock's or some other store. There was an alleyway with a cafe cart. This was before people were used to European cafe. I'd lived elsewhere, but I've never in North America had latte and espresso this strong. We all got cranked up and talked about what our impossible project might be. Christo was doing running fence at the time, and we talked about how many women often worked small. They were confined to a small room in their house, if they had a room at all. And so we decided what were the biggest things we dared to do. Well, I conceived of a piece with 60 people in it, and called Parables. And to do it, I learned how to drill into cement to make bolts to hold women against the tall walls, the open windows, so they looked like cathedral windows. And women would take each other down onto their back, carry them through the audience, lay them down, then another woman would come and be put up. And everyone moved beautifully once they trusted themselves to go in and find what sacred gestures were in them. And I built a rope network. I learned how to tie knots and made a thing for people to ascend and descend. So we were surrounding and going through the audience. And that open third floor really is what made it possible. Parables only ended up with 30 women in it, many of whom had never performed movement before. But they went deep enough that a lot of the audience, I saw tears streaming down their face from the power of their authenticity. Up on the third floor, with that lovely dance space, was Val's Cafe. And I want to call her Lily LaKeech. I heard someone say it differently a minute ago, so I'm not sure I'm right. But she made this beautiful neon artwork for Val's Cafe, and I have one of the original t-shirts from it on right now. The bluebird is almost gone, but you can still see the rose and the graphics, the woman's building. Later, the space kind of squeezed out dancers with lots of little studios up in there, so I missed that. I'd sanded that floor myself with industrial sanders that were almost bigger than I was. One of my favorite things that happened when the space was open was a Pauline Oliveras concert, where we all made our own music. And she had a score, and we dropped in and let the sound emerge from us. In the middle of that, someone came in late with boots on, cowboy boots, loud boots, echoing through this warehouse. And the piece had suddenly gone silent at that point. We all knew the piece was still going on, and the silence was part of the piece. And the people making the noise, it was like a duet between silence and noise. They felt it, and they slowed down, and we could hear them taking off the boots, and putting them down, and sitting down, and settling in. And then they and all of us had a rush of sound emerge from us. That deep, deep trust and process, I really saw all throughout the women's building, and it was really exemplified.